Hello, thanks for tuning in again. So yesterday I went to free flow as always. About a few different notions that have been popping in my head. There are always ideas popping, ideas pop in the human head all the time, and I have my fair share of them. And so today I want to address a few simple notions, but they need to be addressed. I mean, we are suffering an existential crisis. We're stuck in a schizophrenic paradigm. We have no control over ourselves. This idea of self-control. I mean, what does it mean to have self-control? There's a certain, I might, say that I have self-control because I don't go out and drink every night. I don't drink. So I'm not addicted, thankfully, to any substance like that. So there's an element of control, okay? And I suppose by corollary, we're saying that the addict doesn't have self-control because the trauma, the addiction and so on messes up our ability to control ourselves in any given situation, and it's all by degree. Self-control. I mean, if a corporate body rings me up right now and offers me £100 million, to engage with one of their projects, but it means I have to ignore the externalities of that venture. I have to ignore, say, the children that are going to be exploited to bring about their end goal. I'm going to turn that flat out. I'm going to turn it down. Okay, I don't walk a crooked, dirty path like that. So there's a self-control in that spectrum too. Okay, so self-control, like are you controlled enough, in yourself to stand up, to the corrupt institutions that plague our well-being as a species? Or have you lost control and you're voting for the small parties to propagandize you and so on, and you're lost in these little bubbles of thought and so on because you are without self-control? So yeah, self-control, we need to open up that door a little more and look into it. Anyway, I was going to talk first of all about tax, what it means to be taxed. So you see, ideas popping, and then, we run off into different various digressions and all the different avenues of thought. And I'm happy to go down them all, but anyway, I need to stay on track. So tax. What does it mean to pay our tax? Tax is a huge notion when you consider it in relation to the human spirit and how much we're being fucking drained as a species. That's a heavy burden on our souls. The Ukraine right now, Putin, tiny little bug of a human being, okay? An abomination. The idea that you entered, the garden of children and bombed them because you want to control, you're lost in an ideological warped mind, basically. Let's just say that. Yeah, so, my point being, it taxes the spirit. If you're an empath, we're taxed seeing children and men and women suffer and displaced. And I was taxed thinking about the Iraqi war. I'm always taxed when I think about that and the suffering of hundreds of thousands of innocent people, hundreds of thousands of children melted, okay, for what? So, some elite framework of individuals, can rob us all. I mean, that's what's going on, and we're being taxed by it. So yeah, tax is not just about paying your tax bill at the end of the year. But even when it comes down to paying your tax bill, you're taxed spiritually too. I mean, the stress people are under trying to get their taxes in order. Okay, that taxes your spirit. And if you consider right now the amount of suffering and the amount of stress right now on the planet, people are having heart attacks and strokes all over the world because of stress, extreme levels of stress. The lack, people don't even have time to sleep anymore. Okay, they're living on coffee to keep them awake. Okay, that's the cocaine in its own right. But as a result, they're being taxed, and it is reducing their lifespan. Okay, it's putting their body under tremendous stress. That is a heavy taxation. The human spirit is being taxed in so many myriad ways, and I don't know if you know how to look at it and consider it, or maybe hopefully if you're not unaware of it, but at least I'm trying to make you aware of it now. But we have to wake up to it. Okay, we're always fighting to bring taxes down. Okay, you're taxing the working class. Okay, the rich are robbing us and we don't tax them. They pay little tax or none at all and so on. They hide all their money in offshore accounts and so on. So we're debating that tax framework all the time. Okay, but I don't care about the elite. They have a load of zeros to their names. It means nothing to me. They're all just the idea you want mansions and houses and cars and bling and so on. It's so small in my book. It's so fucking tiny and insignificant. No, I don't want it. No, I'm not envious of it. It's pathetic. Give me a teepee. Okay? And Putin wanting a mansion and, a 50-bedroom mansion and all that, and his ilk. That's the dream of a little boy and a little girl. Okay? I want a mansion and I want 10 Ferraris. Anyway, I'm taxed alone with just the stupidity of it all. Okay, stupidity taxes us, arrogance taxes us, greed taxes us, you know, hate taxes us, anger taxes us to an extreme we can't fathom. Okay, anger taxes us, resentment taxes us, envy taxes us, okay, regret taxes us, vengeance taxes us. That has a heavy burden on the heart. That is a heavy tax to pay, and we're all being taxed in myriad ways. You know, when I see a homeless person on the street, I'm taxed spiritually. Okay, it drains some of my chi energy. I'm drained to see it every day. I have to close my eyes to it. When I was in India, to witness the caste system up close and personal, honestly, talk about a fucking abomination of ideology. To reduce people into different castes, into different class frameworks, okay, into different categories. Just, you know, that is a fucking tax. Just thinking about that right now, I'm taxed. So you get what I mean when I say we are being taxed in a heavy way, and we need to understand tax. It's not about paying our pennies. And you know, like I said, the stress you can come under trying to pay your taxes in the monetary sense alone is a taxation. And when you're taxed, you know, as parents say, as individuals, as adults, you know, we're taxed in so many ways, and it weighs on our heart, and it weighs on our mind, and it spills out, onto our children. Now, stresses we suffer spill out onto our children. If we die at an early age, it spills out onto our children. And, you know, the great irony of all is our children are being fucking taxed. And I don't just mean by the spill of trauma and, you know, and the spill of how we're being taxed in so many ways, but our children are going into universities and coming out taxed. They're coming out in debt. You know, 30, 40,000 pounds ahead of them before they even walk the road of life, the experiential road of life that fills them up and they bring back to the world. I mean, we are built on the foundation of each new generation. Okay, that's what keeps the next generation alive, as it keeps moving, and we need to utilize their abilities. We need to utilize their monumental potential. Okay, but we're taxing it. We are taxing it. We're all going to pay a fucking heavy burden for that in the long run, because we can't add things up. Like I say, we don't use the modes of the mind. We don't use adding. Okay, we don't use adding to its, you know, we don't understand it as a utility mode. Anyway, if you've watched all my streams, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say that. So yes, tax. So yeah, consider tax, you know, because you are being taxed in myriad ways, and our children are being taxed. Our entire species is being taxed. War is taxing us, you know. The expenditures attached to war are taxing us. Okay, all that money could go into hospitals and so on. You know, our health, we're being taxed. There's so many unhealthy people, bless, you know, and you're unhealthy for so many different reasons, because you're traumatized. You know, we're being taxed. You know, you're locked down, you're compartmentalized, you're isolated, you're lonely, you're addicted. You have lack of money, lack of means, lack of education, lack of vocabulary, lack of intellect, lack of poetry, lack of art. Okay, because we're being taxed. So yeah, that just brings me nicely on to the idea of art. That's been popping around in my mind too. Art. You know, to understand art, you know, art is not a painting. Art is not a fucking song or a guitar solo. Okay, that's just an extension of the artistic mind. Okay, that's just us with playing with crayons. Okay, art is understanding our species and our environment and our universe and how we're plugged into it, and the aesthetic of it and our feeling of the aesthetic, as opposed to the colours in the aesthetic, if you will. So yeah, let's just flow with the idea of art. And you know, I mean, obviously I'm an artist. I paint, I create all the time. Yeah, I live art. Okay, and I eat, sleep, and smell art. Okay, art is my makeup. Philosophy is art. Okay, I love our human species. That's an artistic view of our species. Okay, we're doing our best given the circumstances of evolution, climbing out of a dark, schizophrenic mind of a chimp into where we are in this day. Okay. I see all that through an artistic lens, because I see the beauty in it, okay? I see the potential in it. I see what we are. I see what we've went through. I see what we're becoming. We're resurrecting our head. Anyway, so yes, art. And anyway, I was watching a silly movie the other night, and there was a scene where this guy goes down to, he goes to an address. He's looking for somebody. And he pulls into Dead Burbia, okay? Suburban America, Dead Burbia. And every lawn is mown to perfection. Every blade of grass is the exact same height. Every fence is painted white. Every window has the flowery curtains in them. You know, everything is spick and span and perfect and boring and sterile. And that, you know, it's been sterilized. And that word jumped into my mind. It just popped up and went, fuck, you know, it's just sterilized. And it's sterilized because we don't understand art. like, you all understand we've been taken out of nature, okay? We live with window boxes and gardens and mowing the lawn, but we are so conditioned into this way of life with our kettles and our hoovers and our showers and our hot water and our radiators and so on. We don't know how to live in nature anymore, and yet we are of nature. We're in a zoo, like tigers in a zoo. They are of nature, but they're now in a zoo. So we've lost our connection to nature, and we're trying to get back to it. We're understanding the damage it has done to our species. Actually, we're being taxed because we're not in nature anymore, the way we should be, the way we are fundamentally designed to be of nature. We need to live, we need to incorporate nature into our way of being through a permaculture lens of thought. Or there's other ideas too, but I like the idea of where permaculture takes us. Another story. But anyway, art, sterilization. And I just, even the area I live in, people are good. I'm not knocking people. People are beautiful. The neighbors are lovely and so on. But the feeling, the aesthetic outside is sterilized. Every lawn is kept straight. Every car is washed on a Sunday. Every curtain is fucking flowery. All the windows are clean and there's no colour anywhere. IKEA has replaced art. IKEA has coloured in your home. IKEA has coloured in your fucking home and it's coloured in your street. There's a lack of colour. People don't understand colour because they don't understand art. And art, I suddenly realised has been reduced to a poster on your wall or an art gallery. Okay, you go to an art gallery to see art and that's only a surface expression of art. Okay, but carnival, understanding carnival is an artistic, venture. We go to our festivals and when I go to the festivals in this country and they're phenomenal and the people are phenomenal and they're coloured in. The women look like nature and the men look like nature, okay? The women and their tattoos and their colours and they're just tribal and they fit in. They look like the trees and the flowers and so do the men. They look like the trees and the flowers and every age is there and the colour and the love and the song and the dance and it's our spirit and, and all the different installations people put up and rainbow colours and giant butterflies and dragons and there's just something so noble and majestic about it, okay? I give, that's majesty to me, not the palaces and all that shite. The majesty of that aesthetic and what's in the aesthetic is the colour is the least part of it. It's the people that are in the aesthetic of that, creating this artistic framework for us all to walk around in. And that's why we all walk around buzzing all day long, all weekend long. It's why we crave it like flowers in the desert. We crave it, we crave the colour. I truly believe that. Anybody who takes themselves to a festival for the first time and opens up to it without bias, without prejudice and just lets go and allows it in, leaves the following, after the weekend, as a different human being. Okay, I'm witness to that. Okay, it just lifts you up because it's part of us, like water is part of us. When you enter a swimming pool or the bath, okay, or a river or a lake or the ocean, water isn't just, it feels like it's part of us because it's an element and we are elements, okay? Fire is part of us, elements, okay? You blow up the atoms in me and you'll find fire, okay? Fire is in us. Water, we're made of water. Water is in us, the elements and so on. And colour and art, they're in us. Okay, it's not something outside of us, they're in us and we've been denied it, we've been sterilised, we've been fucking sterilised. That's a taxation. We've been sterilised and, we should colour in our society. We see Lord of the Rings, the movie, and how people live and our hearts all jump and go, oh my God, we should live like that. Why can't we build beautiful temples like that and homes like that and build our houses into the trees and all that, and we can. And when we can build, bridges that go 10 miles across a river, huge expansion bridges, we can build anything, okay? We land on Mars. We can certainly find a way to live with nature and fit into it and build our houses into nature and have nature service. We're heading that way anyway. And we can colour it in, we can have kids' art everywhere, we can have why aren't our streets filled with permaculture, tomatoes and apples growing in every garden and people hanging flowers, growing flowers and, colourful tapestries, connecting houses and all that, so we can feel like we're in it all the time. Why can't our hospitals be like that? Okay, I mean, let's face it, the hospitals were a dark green colour 50 years ago and they woke up to the fact that colours can affect your ability to mend. So what walls can be painted now with softer colours like soft yellow and soft pink because they help us. Okay, so even being in a hospital room, okay, even the colours can affect us. So just consider colouring our whole world in. Hippifying our world. There's nothing wrong with the hippies. The hippies are the people who are coloured in, okay? I know they're often classed as hippie dippies and some of it is a bit fucking hippie dippy, but in other respects they're way ahead of the game. And in the field of hippie dippies, there are doctors, there are surgeons. I know people who are surgeons, okay? I know somebody who works in cancer, I know a paramedic, I know nurses, I know doctors, I know dentists. They go to festivals, they put on colourful clothes and they dance and they let go because carnival is needed for our spirit. And we understand culture and music all over the world and, some cultures still have it. Some cultures still live in the colourful way, in the artistic wave of life. Okay, so consider art a bit more too because we are truly being taxed without it. So yeah, another point popping was the notion of elevation. Okay, the idea that we're, You know, I don't think of evolution as something, a straight line from, you know, A to Z, okay, that we were fish, becoming monkey, becoming man, and so on. I think of it as a state of elevation.